Okay, there's a couple other steps we actually need to do. Now, we just barely added in our Docker file we added this docker entry point.sh, and what this does is it reads these environment variables seed on start, seed feed URL, and seed site, and this is actually how it seeds all of the information from your website. So basically it will go and it will pull down the information from your WordPress feed, given that you give it the right URL. And then that way, when the Docker container is launched on Railways, it will automatically go and essentially pull down all the information on your website and put it into a format that the large language model can actually access. So I'm going to show you how to set that up in Railway. And we do this at the same time we're setting up the other environment variables. So in the environment variables, what we're going to do, so in Railway, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Settings. We're actually going to go to Variables here. And then in here, we have this seed feed URL, this seed on start, and then the seed site. So what you're going to do is you're going to click New Variable, seed feed URL, and then you're going to put in your website domain, your WordPress domain, /feed. And as we've talked about in last videos, what this does is actually gets an RSS feed that's built into every single WordPress site by default. And this is actually how we index the site. Now, before we do that, another thing just to keep in mind is that in WordPress, there's a default setting that changes it to only show 10 items at a time. If you have a much bigger website, you might want to bump this up to its max limit, which is 999 items, and then go ahead and save that. And that way, the large language model will be able to search over at least 999 posts and articles that you have on your site. Okay, so then, so for seed feed URL, go ahead and click Add. Okay, and then you should have it added here to your variables. Then we're going to go ahead and add this seed on start. So you're going to click New Variable. You're going to type in seed on start, all caps. And you're going to just set this to be 1 and go ahead and click Add. Okay, and then we're going to do this seed site. So you're going to go seed site, and then this is flexible, but it just can't have spaces in it. So just put the name of your website with dashes in between. In my case, I'm just putting in our company /brand name, FieldRocket, and then I'll hit add right here. Okay, awesome. And now that all of those are added, the thing we need to do now is we need to go and we need to redeploy this site. So after we add the OpenAI API key, the OpenAI endpoint, which is this API to openai.com/v1/chat/completions, and then the QJoint URL is just localhost :6333, so HTTP localhost 6333. To find your OpenAI API key, you're just going to go to platform.openai.com, register for an account if you don't have one yet, and then you'll actually need to create one. So you go in your settings here, you go to API keys, and you can click generate new secret key, and then you can copy out that URL, and that's what you'll paste into this field when you're creating OpenAI API key, and you'll paste in the key that you have right there. It should be like SK proj, something like that, and it's a long string of things. Awesome. Now that we have all that, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our deployments. One thing you might need to do is you might need to go to your settings and click check for updates, just to make sure that you have like the latest version of the repository. Go ahead and click update if that comes back. And if not, then you can also just go back to deployments and then click that deploy button. You can just basically come in here, and then there would be like a deploy button that you could press. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this while it builds, and then I'll show you how to set up the next step with the WordPress URL. Okay, that's fairly deployed. I'm going to go ahead and click on View Logs, and we should see that there's a message in here that it basically uploaded a batch. So in my case, our site had 38 documents, 38 posts, I mean, and so it uploaded a batch of 38. And so that's how we know that worked correctly. So now if we were going to click on our production URL here, then we could come in here and ask what is FieldRocket, and we should get a list of results coming back from the NLWeb server. Yeah, and here it is. So now the only step we have to do after that is just grab this URL here. We're going to go to our WordPress site. We're going to go ahead and go to our NLWeb chatbot settings right here. And I think when we first set this up, the default is like localhost 8000. But in this case, we can actually give it the full URL here. Just make sure you add https:// and then the URL from Railways. Click save. Now let's go ahead and just go to the front of our website here. Click chat and say, what is FieldRocket? Let's test if this works. I also did a little bit of a quick user interface update, so it's a little bit nicer out of the box. yeah, and there you go. So that's how you get a chatbot working. Let's say, how do I get more reviews for my business? This is I have a handful of different articles in the website that goes into that. Okay, very nice. Funny, it still defaults to this podcast thing. There'll be updates coming out that we'll patch that. And then if you operate in contracting or service industries, cool. Well, yeah, so it is working. All right. In the next video, I'm just going to do a full tutorial from start to finish. Basically just starting from scratch, taking our 2 repos and walking through step by step how to install the plugin on your WordPress site. I'm going to package it up as a zip, and then what we'll do is I'll just have a nice short, clean tutorial video, be less than 60 seconds, on how to set this all up, move it into production. So if you have a WordPress app or a WordPress site in production, you can very easily duplicate this kind of workflow and get a chatbot that does AI. And what's great about this is it's essentially free. You're only paying for OpenAI API tokens, so it's much cheaper, much more affordable than paying any type of service provider that's already offering this as like a software subscription. So anyways, I'll see you in the next video.